duty. Sing with me. Hey, people money murder, murder. They can't take it no longer. Customer takes bleeding we pocket. People money murder, murder. They can't take it no longer. Customer takes bleeding we pocket. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. 1 + tax is 10. Plus charges even more. Mad plus you take. Excise tax. Certain. All of them together. Murder. 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 They can't take it no longer. Only equation that can make the poor man even poorer. Hey! So, it's murder. Here we go. Hey! What's happening? So, hey! Up taxes going. Up charges going. Up duties going. Hey!
Dominica, it's on the first annual Domlec Northeastern BBSM 2017. Come witness 7 competitors: The Gem, Classic, King Stout, Inches, Dover, Giovanni and Basic, as they contend for the ultimate title of BBSM Monarch. Thursday, February 23rd, 2017. Also featuring live appearances by C-Squared, featuring Cornell Phillip and Carlene XP. Too Greedy, White Fairy, and just added Ace of Banton. Yes, Ace of Banton. And more. With easy juggling by DJ Flip the Boss, versatile DJ A-Star, and more. Domlec BBSM 2017. Where's Hardcourt? The Carnival Village, Marigot, Commonwealth of Dominica, from 7 p.m. till Thursday, February 23rd, 2017. This event is supported by Domlec, Kubli Beer, Digicel, Alan Kell Promotions, Belfast Estate Limited, Digicel Play, Happy Car Rental, Honorable Leonard Clinton, Belfast Estate Limited, Flipside Records, The Virtual Band, Marigot Cooperative Credit Union, Paradise View Apartments, and Hope Construction. BBSM 2017. Be there.
The Calypso Queen Competition, Thursday, February 16 at the Eddie Andre Carnival City. 10 contestants vying for the Calypso Queen title and the bragging rights of Queen of Calypso. Tasha P, Stingray Della, Hashima Mandesa, Alicia Nash, El Jane, Lady S, Royette in a 2-round contest. 1 original round and a tribute round to Leandra and Buple. The Dominica Calypso Queen Competition, backed up by the Triple K. With brass. Thursday, February 16 at Carnival City 8 p.m. Guest artist Lady V. $25 in advance tickets from Bullseye Pharmacy. You pay more later.
The National Cooperative Credit Union Limited is offering cash secured loans at a very special 5.99% interest rate. Members can use savings and deposits to quickly obtain loans for any purpose. Just walk into any of NCCU's 6 branches today and apply. Set your own repayment terms and get your same-day loan. Promotion ends May 31, 2017.
Terms and conditions apply.
In other news, NBD has dropped their interest rate on vehicle loans to 7.5%.
Babe, turn up the volume on the radio.
The bank encourages customers to take advantage of this opportunity to get full financing on a vehicle with this low rate from now until May 15.
Did you hear that? 7.5% interest rate and full financing?
What's more, 3 lucky customers will get their vehicle license paid for up to 3 years. Visit a branch, call 255-2300 or go to nbdominica.com for more information and other terms and conditions.
Hun, I'm off to NBD.
Babe, wait for me.
Apply for your vehicle loan today. NBD, your partner, your bank.
My Saddam family, how you feeling? I feel like I'm having the time. This is what I'm gonna give you. You song. I hope you like it. Stars.
put we causing death and misery. I look, I listen, hey, one question hounding me. Are we fighting just to fuss and fight? Are we fighting because we think we always right? Are we fighting because we hate our brother? Are we fighting just to control our system? All must die and leave this world. We can't take the gold, we can't take the oil. Stop the fighting! Hey, hey, hey! This song is called What Are We Fighting For?
What are we fighting for, Stefan? An introduction there at start to the second song.
Nature Island Cruise 951 on Live 95. Every day, Monday to Friday. Exploring the sights, sounds, happening talk on the blocks, healthy lifestyles, and culture of Dominica. Enjoy daily giveaways of valuable products and services from leading businesses on the Nature Island of the Caribbean. Stay locked and immerse yourself in the breathtaking views from above the undulating hills and valleys, and in the magnificent marine adventures beneath our Caribbean Sea. All this and more on Nature Island Cruise 951 on Live 95, only on the big station. Get a taste of the enchanting Creole and indigenous cuisine and lifestyles of the charming people of Dominica. Experience the dynamic rhythms of our culture, music, and entertainment, our vibrant, unique niche agribusiness products, our refreshing range of colorful flowers, and the fabulous foliage in our horticulture. Explore the prolific life-sustaining values of our natural foods, herbal teas, spices, and medicines. All this and more on Nature Island Cruise 951. Every day, Monday to Friday on Live 95. Only on the big station. Only on Q95.
Bluebird is back at Dragon Windows Detroit Tires. Bluebird T-shirt Carnival Band 2017 is here. Come jam with the best band on the road for Carnival Monday. Bluebird for only $60. You get bottles, racks, bandanas, unlimited drinks, and the musical Beast of the Nation, the first serenade. Register today at Inland Revenue on High Street, and groups of 10 or more get a special discount. Bluebird Carnival T-shirt band is brought to you by Dragon Windows and Detroit Tires Inc. And also proudly sponsored by Colony Beer, Fine Footing, GB Trucking, The Sign Man, and Lewis Whiskey. So it's a party with Bluebird on Carnival Monday. Register today.
What them man will see, like when they composing, they all forgetting. They must have like 2 wrongs inside that ring. The amount of money they say they don't spend, to be disappointed at the very end. The competition is somewhat many have won. No wonder they always failing in the second round. So this year I'm preparing for the second round. Boys and egg and sea must have drinking. Early morning exercising. Oh, the rest are not falling. In the second round, when some Calypsonian drunk and cannot perform, trust me, I'm coming stronger. In the second round.
their tongue and singing in tongues. Trust me, I'm coming harder in the second round. And if you like boxing, it's another thing. Prepare to make 12 rounds inside the ring. It's either we lazy, without stamina, or we lose this king, the big man bigger. But for many Californians, 2 rounds is a pain. I'm sorry for Peter Frosty, I not do it again, Lord. This year, I'm preparing for the second round. Boys like egg and sea was a drinking for the second round. Early morning exercising for the second round. Oh, the rest are not falling in the second round.
Welcome to Q95's Lunchtime News Update for today, Thursday, February 16th, 2017. In local news, opposition leader Lennox Linton calls for continued protests against the Dominican government. Speaking to Dominicans through social media on Wednesday, the opposition leader says that Dominicans must turn out in protest whenever one of the UWP members is taken into custody by police. Former deputy leader of the UWP, Claudia Sanford, was arrested in the early hours on Wednesday and was later released and charged with obstruction. Sanford is expected to appear in court in April 2017. Linton says Dominicans must not give the impression that they will tolerate police harassment under the alleged instructions of Prime Minister Skerrit. In other news, Grenada's notoriously litigious Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is now himself on the receiving end of a defamation claim made by Senator Nazim Burke. In a letter dated January 30th, 2017 to Mitchell, lawyers acting for Burke asserted that Mitchell made public allegations against Burke that are completely untrue and are seriously injurious to their client's character and reputation. The letter to Mitchell follows the latest in a series of attempts made by Mitchell to muzzle local media extending over many years, when lawyers acting for the Prime Minister recently wrote to local talk radio show host Kem Jones, requiring him to issue an apology and retraction, as well as pay unquantified damages and costs in relation to allegedly defamatory remarks. And at least 48 people have been killed in Baghdad in the third blast in the Iraqi capital in 3 days, security and medical sources say. A car packed with explosives blew up near car dealerships in the Shire area of Baya in the south of the city. More than 50 people were injured. At least 18 people died in another attack on used car dealers on Wednesday, and 4 were killed the day before. The Islamic State group claimed Thursday's blast, the AFP reported, and Baghdad saw a wave of deadly suicide attacks by ISIS in the first few days of 2017, but the number had dropped until recently. And this concludes your Lunchtime News Update. I'm Linda Martin. Do join us again at 4 for the Prime Evening News Update. Good afternoon.
The Calypso Queen competition, Thursday, February 16th at the Eddie Andre Carnival City. 10 contestants vying for the Calypso Queen title and the bragging rights of Queen of Calypso. Tasha P, Stingray Della, Hashima Mandesa, Alicia Nashel Johnny, Lady S, Royette in a 2-round contest. 1 original round and a tribute round to Leandra and Buple. The Dominica Calypso Queen competition backed up by the Triple K. With brass! Thursday, February 16 at Carnival City 8 p.m. Guest artist Lady V. $25 in advance tickets from Bullseye Pharmacy. You pay more later.
Well, listeners, political unrest is brewing in the island of Dominica.
All right, Dominica, I'm going to expose you at this point to an interview that was done earlier this week on, I think, Wednesday, one of the local radio stations in Jamaica, a regional radio station in Jamaica. That radio station, they interviewed Mr. Lennox Linton and Carlisle John Baptist on Talk on the Block. I'm going to expose you to that interview, okay? So listen quite attentively. We have other breaking news coming up right after this.
Well, listeners, political unrest is brewing in the island of Dominica. Last Tuesday, anti-government protests broke out on the streets of Rousseau after the peaceful rally organized by Opposition Workers' Party, the UWP, pretty much unraveled in the streets.
Yeah, well, the protesters had marched to the financial center where the office of the Prime Minister, Roosevelt Skerrit, is located, demanding his resignation as well as his entire cabinet. Protesters chanted, "The regime must fall. We don't want Iran or China. Skerrit must go." Now, the police had given the UWP until 3 p.m. local time to end the protest march, but UWP leader Lennox Linton had made it clear that they would not be keeping to the police deadline.
Well, things only escalated thereafter. Fires were set, businesses were looted, and gunshots fired. Riot police, who were called in, used tear gas to disperse the protesters. 32 people have since been arrested.
Yeah, so you know this will go down in Dominica's history.
It is.
The Prime Minister Skerrit told Dominicans in a national address that the protest and disturbance in the country was an attempt by the opposition parties to seize the seat of power. But the opposition leader, Lennox Linton, has dismissed the claim as another lie the Prime Minister has concocted to win the sympathy of Dominicans.
Well, the protests against the Skerrit administration has really escalated rapidly now, following the disclosure of a series of interrelated scandals. This is what's most interesting, how things have moved from one scandal to another scandal to another scandal and escalated to this point. And they are related. Scandals which have involved the sale of Dominican diplomatic passports to individuals involved with the intelligence services of the People's Republic of China and Iranian sanctions avoidance operations, hence the chants about China and Iran.
Yeah, and it's been quite a scene watching all of this unfold. Well, in January, CBS 60 Minutes television expose highlighted the Skerrit government's sale of diplomatic passports to individuals engaged in illegal activities.
Generally speaking, due diligence in the Caribbean has improved substantially since the scandals in St. Kitts. The small island offices with a few people are now backed up by international firms that take the screening to a higher level. But ultimately, it's up to each country to decide who gets a passport, and the Caribbean has a rich history of turning a blind eye to official corruption. It's affected the way passports are handed out, especially diplomatic passports that entitle the bearer to all sorts of special privileges, which Peter Vincent says represents a much more serious security threat.
The border officials at the receiving country, even without a visa, almost always admit an individual carrying a diplomatic passport. In addition, border forces are not entitled to search the luggage of diplomats like they are for regular tourists. They simply wave them through.
The sale of diplomatic passports is not part of the Citizenship by Investment program, but it goes on under the table, particularly in Dominica, which has had a most impressive corps of dodgy diplomats.
We had a diplomatic passport in the hands of Francesco Corallo, who at the time was on Interpol's list of most wanted criminals.
Parliamentarian Lennox Linton says no one in Dominica had ever heard of Corallo until he was stopped by authorities in Italy.
He said, "You can't detain me. I'm a diplomat." I said, "Diplomat? Diplomat of where?" He said, "Dominica."
Then there's Dominican diplomat Alison Maduke, a former Nigerian oil minister arrested for suspected bribery and money laundering. And Rudolph King, a Bahamian fugitive from U.S. Justice who is Dominica's ambassador to Bahrain.
What we were doing as an ambassador in Bahrain, I don't quite know, but they seem to think that there was some benefit in there for us.
Well, that's from the CBS 60 Minutes report aired in January, which really was part of what set the ball rolling to where we are today with the protests and the demands for Prime Minister Skerrit and his entire cabinet to resign. For a deeper look inside the unrest in Dominica, we're pleased to be joined by leader of the opposition United Workers' Party, Lennox Linton, and also freelance journalist with the Associated Press, Carlisle Jean-Baptiste. Good morning.
Hi, morning to you. Morning, Jamaica. How are you doing?
We're good. Glad to have you. Are we both? Are you both on with us? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, and listeners, we did try to get a perspective from the government, but we were unsuccessful. Let's begin with you, opposition leader. Outline for the listeners not just this particular scandal, but the series of scandals that has brought us here, and how they relate to you now calling for this administration to resign.
Well, first of all, I want to say a very good morning to you and happy Valentine's Day. And I want to say happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers of life in Jamaica and around the world, desirous of enjoying all pleasures worldly and divine. Now, Dominica, very interesting state of affairs. We're calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit because of his disgraceful conduct on behalf of Dominica in the international community, and because of his appalling mismanagement of the economic affairs of Dominica. That has left the country much poorer than it was when he took office, but has left him and his ministers significantly richer. So they're doing well. The country is catching hell. The economic engines are shutting down. Agriculture is on its deathbed. The manufacturing, tourism are not living up to potential. And at the same time, the name of Dominica is being disgraced in the international community by these scandals. Scandals related to the Prime Minister's settled practice now of handing diplomatic passports and diplomatic rank and privileges to a whole gallery of rogues, scoundrels, criminals, people accused of all sorts of things, and I'll give you 3 examples. You heard in the CBS piece the example of Francesco Corallo. He was on Interpol's most wanted list, holding a Dominica diplomatic passport. Alison Madueke, the former Nigerian Oil Services Minister, they recently recovered from accounts linked to her in banks over $153 million US. She's accused or alleged to have stolen or set aside for herself and others billions of dollars of revenue for the state of Nigeria. And then you have the more recent, very famous case now of Alireza Monfared. This is an Iranian national who was involved with helping Iran to beat the UN and US sanctions on the trade of its oil. But at the same time, were stealing, or alleged to be stealing, the money of Iran. And so one of the associates is already on death row in Iran. The second associate is facing trial in the United States. So Babak Zanjani is on death row. Reza Zarab is in the United States waiting trial. And Alireza Monfared is back in Iran now after spending some time in Dominica as a fugitive from justice.
But opposition leader, you specifically said that it is the Prime Minister's practice. Is it that you are saying that he, by virtue of being head of the cabinet, cannot plead plausible deniability, or are you putting the issuing of these diplomatic passports to these scoundrels as squarely at his feet, as if it is his doing specifically?
I'm putting it squarely at his feet, and yes, he does have the support of his cabinet to do that.
But is it he who has issued these diplomatic passports or these diplomatic statuses to these individuals?
Well, there's a process. There's a process through which the passport get issued, but the person who is selecting the people who are receiving Dominica diplomatic passports is the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, there's no transparent process. There's no policy that we're aware of that decides, well, individual X or Y will get a diplomatic passport and will get diplomatic privileges. It's all at the fancy and whim of the Prime Minister. It's all as a result of his personal preference, who he likes, who he does not like, who he wants to have it, who he does not want to have it. There's no policy underlying.
And how has he justified in public pronouncements or in interviews with the media or in press conferences, how has Prime Minister Skerrit justified these things when these questions have been put to him?
I'm happy that you have Carlisle John Baptist, who is a freelance journalist with the Associated Press and other agencies in Dominica. Carlisle is the one who attends press conferences if and when they're called. And I think he's in a good position to answer the question directly.
Well, let's have Carlisle answer that after the break. Hold the line for us, please, both of you. Welcome back. It's 20 minutes now before 8 o'clock. We're discussing issues in Dominica with leader of the opposition United Workers Party, Lennox Linton, and freelance journalist with the Associated Press, Carlisle John Baptiste. Welcome back to the show.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay, Carlisle, you've been covering this since it began unfolding. You're based in Dominica, by the way?
Yes, I'm based in Dominica.
Okay, so when did this start unfolding to the people of Dominica? Was it the 60 minutes expose that was the catalyst for what is happening now?
You may say that, but before that, we've had lots of talks from the opposition making accusations, diplomatic passports being sold or being offered to dodgy persons out there, criminals out there. And so when that situation came out with Monfara, that I think would be the really broke the camel's back. And things started to unfold from henceforth. The 60-minute program, in fact, before the 60-minute program came out, Senior Counsel Anthony Asafan, who is a spokesperson for the Skerrit administration, came out and accused the opposition leader of being a traitor, of treason, etc., etc. And a lot of people were saying, but wait a while, you have not yet heard what the 60 Minutes program is all about. Why are you saying all those things? And so after that, the opposition, not only the opposition United Workers Party, but they teamed up with the Dominica Freedom Party, it must be noted, and they decided to have a protest action in the streets of Roseau. But even before that, a member of the Dominica Freedom Party, Dr. Sam Christian, was arrested for allegedly inciting violence. He made a statement in 2015, and while he was at his medical practice, members of the Criminal Investigations Department came in his office, arrested him, and he was charged for, according to them, inciting violence. That matter went before the court, and it's still at the court. And we had a massive protest from the people who are saying, well, the government is trying to shut people down. And so all of this just started to mount. And the opposition, Dominica Freedom Party, and of course the United Workers Party, they had a meeting in the streets of Roseau. It was near to the financial center. That meeting took place from about 10 a.m. It ended peacefully at about 4:30 p.m. Now it must be noted that there were 3 vehicles in the area. One was a truck, one was a vehicle belonging to the opposition leader, and one was another vehicle belonging to former Prime Minister Edison James. Those 3 vehicles were used for the use of the protest action. Having done that, when the protest action ended, the truck was to have moved eastward. Whoever it is gave the truck instructions to turn. The truck driver turned the truck, and the vehicle of the opposition leader also turned. When that was done, the people, the opposition leader, it must be noted, left the area. The people who were there, but there were about 150 persons gathered. They decided that, but wait a while, going down the other way is breaking traffic rules. The vehicle must go eastward, and so they decided that the vehicle is not going down that area, it must go east. They stayed there until, and the police then decided that, okay, we are going to allow this vehicle to go up east. Mr. Edison James, who was around, dealt with the matter, and someone must have given the police instructions not to allow the vehicle to go east. And so the police decided, no, I'm not going to allow this vehicle to go east anymore. That matter escalated up until 6, and people started to get very aggressive. Then lights came, and in fact, before that, I must point out to you that the riot squad was already on site from 10 in the morning. 10 a.m., the riot squad was on site at the National Stadium, which is just a few blocks away. And there were sniper people, officers on the various buildings in the capital city, Roseau. And so the people decided that enough was enough, and they took the matter in their hands, and they had a clash with the police. That being done, the riot squad was called in, and everything just took a turn for the worse. But even before that, someone called the opposition leader. He came and he spoke to the people. The people just was not going to listen. They decided that it was now not about the opposition people, but it was about them now. And the police then opened fire. And,
I want to pick you up on that though, Carlisle, because I'd like to give me the profile in your estimation of these protesters. Are these opposition protesters being organized by the opposition party, or is there a cross sectional kind of a hue to the protest? Are we seeing persons who would be loyal to the governing party? Are we seeing, for instance, the governing party controls 15 of the 21 seats in the House of Representatives? Are we seeing protests in areas of strong support traditionally for the governing party, or is it clustered in the 6 seats that the opposition has its strength? Give us that kind of a picture.
It's not clustered into the 6 seats, because, in fact, I can tell you, there were persons who addressed the rally of the opposition who stated that they were loyal to the governing party, and so they had enough. They needed answers. And because the Prime Minister is not giving them the answers that are required, they have decided to speak out. So you had public servants. I saw prison officers who were gathered at the rally. So it tells you that...
So mass discontent, general discontent. Dennis had asked you before the break what the Prime Minister's response to all of this has been.
Basically, blaming the opposition from all ends. He first had a press conference during, I think, just after Christmas. We went there, I covered it, and he gave a long list of, what they, according to him, they would have done. But it must be pointed out that Anthony Astafan gave a statement. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs gave a different statement. The Prime Minister gave another one, totally different. So people are confused.
Does the economic citizenship program continue?
It does continue. It does continue, but
it continues. It continues with difficulty. Sorry, Carla.
Yes.
Right now, as we speak, the economic citizenship program is generating revenues from the sale of Dominican passports. And recently, the Royal Bank of Canada closed down the government's account into which it was bringing in the citizenship by investment revenues, the monies from the sale of passports. And it returned the monies it had on hold, waiting for clearance, to the persons who sent it. It now appears that the government is unable to have its citizenship money in banks, in international banks with branches in Dominica. So are we talking about Scotia Bank? We're talking about the First Caribbean International Bank, and we're talking about the Royal Bank of Canada. It leaves one bank in Dominica into which citizenship revenues for the government can come, and that is the National Bank of Dominica, which has a correspondent banking relationship with Bank of America. We understand that recently a request was made to the Citizenship by Investment Unit and the Government Authority to pass on to the bank the copies of the due diligence reports that were done on the individuals responsible for about $23 million worth of payments for passports into the government account at the National Bank. And the Citizenship by Investment Unit, on instructions of the Prime Minister, is refusing to pass on the due diligence reports, and so the monies remain frozen in the accounts of the National Bank. This is very significant for Dominica in the sense that Mrs. Skerritt has indicated agriculture cannot work, manufacturing cannot work, tourism cannot work. They can't deliver the economic benefits that the country needs, and the country is only going forward going to be reliant on the sale of passports. However, it now appears that our sale of passports, according to what the banks are doing, the international banks are doing, and the requests from our own national bank suggest that those monies are linked to or tied up in or tainted with laundered funds, monies from the proceeds of crime, monies that may be connected with the financing of terrorism. The government is not answering these questions. The government is not paying attention to these issues. But you see what they describe as the lifeblood of the economy now under direct threat from the very actions of the government that is failing to protect the citizenship revenue source from tainted monies.
To put it in scale, you said they've described it as a lifeblood of the economy. What percentage of the government revenues come from the sale of passports?
The government,
even before Mr. Ellison comes in, it appears everything, because from what the government has stated that
everything, it can't be everything.
There must be other industries in.
Now let me say this.
Yes.
In the budget of 2016-2017, the government has projected in the region of 40% of the budget of the revenues to come from economic citizenship.
Wow.
And 40%. Stated without, if not the sale of passport, economic citizenship, then what?
Well,
we're going to have to leave it there. But Lennox Linton, will you be calling for a no confidence motion in the Parliament? How do you take this forward? Getting the people off the streets, getting the country productive, but taking the challenge to this regime in the Parliament.
Well, the Parliament of Dominica meets very infrequently. In 2016, we had only 3 meetings of the Parliament. The Parliament is effectively being used as a rubber stamp for the activities.
So there's no parliamentary agenda. There's no passing of legislation.
There's legislation. There's legislation that is passed at the fancy and whim of the government, but the Parliament itself is not.
There's no budget debate.
There's a budget debate.
But way down. Half year.
Hold a second.
June, July.
There's a budget debate. There are parliamentary meetings where bills are passed, where laws are passed, and so on. But like I said, for the entire year, 12 months of 2016, we only had 3 meetings of the Parliament. We're now in the middle of February. We have received no notification for any meeting of the Parliament.
Yeah, but you have 6 out of the 21 members in the House. How have the constituents in those constituencies been represented? How have their issues been brought forward?
The issues are being brought forward whenever we have the opportunity in Parliament, but otherwise than that, it's just in radio discussions, in letters, in correspondence to the relevant ministers of government. The situation here in terms of parliamentary oversight for good governance is absolutely horrible. We've seen a completely different situation in countries like Jamaica, in Barbados, in Trinidad, where the parliament functions and the parliament exercises oversight on the behavior, on the conduct of government.
Yeah, but in a modern democracy, Parliament is only one element of the democracy. What about civil society? What about the economic community? What about the manufacturers association, the business people who are bringing pressure onto the government? We're gonna have to continue this conversation another day. But this is frightening. It is frightening to know that our Caribbean neighbors, with such a rich political history of active political activity, to see that this is what the state of play is. It's very sad.
Not only that, and quickly, just before I go though, you have a speaker who basically does what she wants. So if you're going to have a vote of no confidence, not with the speaker, you're not going to get your way at all. So the opposition...
We have to leave it there, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Lennox Linton, Carlisle John Baptiste there from Dominica, telling us what's going on.
All right, that was a discussion earlier this week with Nationwide Radio in Jamaica. Very interesting discussion there. The region is watching. When we come back, I'll try to bring you an update in Guyana. I know the Prime Minister is at that meeting. Want to know what are the special issues being discussed at this time? I will touch base with my colleague there, Dennis Chabral. We worked as correspondents for the BBC and the Caribbean News Agency many years ago. I'm going to connect with Dennis. He'll give us an update as to what is going on. We're trying to connect. We're coming back after this.
In other news, NBD has dropped their interest rate on vehicle loans to 7.5%.
Babe, turn up the volume on the radio.
The bank encourages customers to take advantage of this opportunity to get full financing on a vehicle with this low rate from now until May 15.
Did you hear that? 7.5% interest rate and full financing?
What's more, 3 lucky customers will get their vehicle license paid for up to 3 years. Visit a branch, call 255-2300 or go to nbdominica.com for more information and other terms and conditions.
Hun, I'm off to NBD.
Babe, wait for me.
Apply for your vehicle loan today. NBD, your partner, your bank.
And better at Showdown Mascamp at the Harlem Plaza with the Mascamp Flight 767, the Magician All Mask style. Come dressed in your Magician All Mask outfit and enjoy a taste of original Carnival. Come this Friday from 9 p.m. Come win prizes and be part of the Magician All Mask party. Showdown Mascamp this Friday at the Harlem Plaza from 9 p.m. Come celebrate with the Bob, Leona, Benno, Sai, Checo, King Dice, and the rest of the crew. Showdown Mascamp Flight 767, the Magician All Mask Party this Friday, 17th February at the Harlem Plaza from 9 p.m. Sponsored by Caribbean, Fine Foods Inc., 4D, Singwalla Bloomquist Williams, Neo Expressions Inc., Rosalie Bay Resorts, BF Inc., Fort Young Hotel, All Saints University, the All Nations Bar, National Pest and Termite Control, Dr. Irvin Pascal, our dear partners, DBS Radio, Q95, Mappin 2K4, TDN Radio. A well-stocked bar awaits you on Flight 767 for the Showdown Mascamp All Mask Party. Don't forget, come in your Magician All Mask outfit and enjoy the sweetest Calypsos this Calypso season. This Friday at the Showdown Mascamp All Mask Party. See you
not connecting at this time to Guyana, but we will do so before we wrap up in the afternoon. Let's take a phone call. Hello, talk to me here.
Yes, greetings, my brethren. What's going on?
Good.
How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm listening to the interview with Kali, Mr. Linton, and Jamaica. And these people, you heard the reaction when they mentioned that the Prime Minister said, if not citizenship passport, then what? The reaction. It was like, what? Are you, I mean, kind of saying like, are you serious? So this is why I want to say to my people on island, if, like the bank sees us to their account, what are we going to do in the island? We don't realize what is going to affect each and every one of us. If the bank sees the account, no money coming in, no money going out. These people and them got to wake up, and it's not about politics, about the future of Dominica. You know what I'm saying? So my brother, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm giving you your flowers right now. I got a big bouquet coming for you, all right?
All right, my brother. Thank you very much. As I said, we will try to connect with Guyana. We need to know what's going on there. And, of course, I heard some rumors circulating earlier. I want to address or ask the journalist about that. From all indications, the rumor about the opposition leader, circulated by Mr. Tony Asafan. It appears, just from early discussions with Mr. Dennis Chabral, is not true. Hello, talk to me.
Matilde, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Yes.
First of all, we want to thank Sheridan Gregoire for service rendered to people and country. Secondly, we want to thank Q95. If it was not for Q95, for information and education, the people of Dominica would doom to failure. We want to thank you, Matt, for the effort you make every day in terms of bringing the information to us, speaking truth to power. We want to thank Jamaica for taking our concern and listening to what we have to say. Thank the Honorable Lennox Linton, leader of the opposition, and Carly John Baptist. And I want to say, Mr. Skerrit can do what he wants. Roosevelt Skerrit must go. He can run from Dominicans, but he will not be able to run from America. You cannot have our passport in the hands of crooks and criminals. And Matt, did you notice not one Caribbean leader within CARICOM has come to the defense of Roosevelt Skerrit? Is he not ashamed? Is he not ashamed? Not even Ralph Gonzalez that had something good to say about Roosevelt Skerrit. You just prostituting our passport and raping our passport. Roosevelt Satan Skerrit must go.
Hello, talk to me. It's 1:37 in the afternoon. 449-3095. We sharing on Talk on the Block. You can call 449-3095. Talk to me.
Hello, Matt.
Hi.
Good afternoon to you.
Yes.
I heard the interviews with Lennox and with John Baptist and the Jamaican.
Yeah, two Jamaican journalists there.
Yes. You know, I hope Dominicans far and wide will recognize now, finally, that we are in a very serious crisis and that we have to do anything that we can to try to rescue the country from a particular path. I would as well ask the opposing forces, that is the Freedom Party as well as the UWP, we are very, very careful now how we strategize to bring the country to a different place. We cannot have Skerrit sitting there. I agree entirely with all those who say that he must stand down. I agree entirely with those who say the rest of the cabinet must stand down, and I hope they will do so. If they do not, then we are going to be in another drama, because we now enter into a situation where the international community, including the United States, is going to act to do things that will bring the government down whether we like it or not. It would be better for all concerned if Skerrit would willingly stand down and the government stand down, and as Gabriel has suggested, we put a unity kind of administration in place, and subsequent to that, we move to a proper electoral procedure for a new government to be formed. I hope this is what will occur. If that doesn't happen, and we continue to have this nonsense of people being arrested willy-nilly, there is going to be a disaster in the country. And I'm hoping that we can avoid that disaster. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kenneth Ridjock is asking at this time on his blog, well, history repeat itself. Let's listen to Kimberly Benjamin with this report.
Has Ali Reza Monfared become an albatross around the neck of Dominica? Look closely at the economic, social, political, and human damage that Stanford wreaked upon Antigua. Years after Stanford started serving a sentence of 110 years, Antigua still suffers from the negative publicity generated by its failure to extradite its banking regulator. Leroy King has never had to face justice in the United States, which has permanently damaged its previously cordial relationship with America. With its failure to extradite Roosevelt Skerritt to New York for conspiring to evade international and American sanctions on Iran and money laundering have the same effect? Moreover, will the United States now stake some sort of claim upon assets or cash located in Dominica, asserting that they are either Monfared's property or that they were the fruit of illegal activity with the money coming from Monfared? And what about the $3 billion that Babak Zanjani must pay Iran to avoid a summary execution? His attorney says that Monfared was the true trader of sanctioned oil. Whether Iran makes a $1 billion claim in Dominica is unknown, but entirely possible. Iran cannot be happy that Dominica sheltered Monfared and accepted money that he embezzled from oil sales. Do the math. Nobody can estimate the total amount of fallout in its many forms from the Monfared diplomatic passport scandal, but the longer that Dominican officials try to cover up the truth, the worse the story is going to get. Dominica has already had one national disgrace in 1979 involving the sale of passports to Iranians, which caused the fall of a prime minister. Will history repeat itself?
The globe, supported by populist movements, threatens the multilateral system as never before and does not portend well for small states. Further, the concentrated attacks on our economies, whether through the withdrawal of correspondent banking services, listing our countries as non-cooperative tax jurisdictions, or denigrating our citizenship by investment programs, confirm that we are operating in an increasingly hostile international environment.
Did you listen to the Prime Minister? That was part of a speech that he gave in Guyana, sent to me this morning. I am, as I said, trying to get in touch with Dennis Chabral, the regional correspondent from Guyana there. Let's listen to Mr. Skerritt again. Finally, he spoke on the issue of correspondent banks. Let's listen.
The globe, supported by populist movements, threatens the multilateral system as never before and does not portend well for small states. Further, the concentrated attacks on our economies, whether through the withdrawal of correspondent banking services, listing our countries as non-cooperative tax jurisdictions, or denigrating our citizenship by investment programs, confirm that we are operating in an increasingly hostile international environment.
callers are keeping my lines very busy, so I'm having difficulty calling out.
At Showdown Mascamp at the Harlem Plaza with the Mascamp Flight 767, the Magician All Mask style. Come dressed in your Magician All Mask outfit and enjoy a taste of original Carnival. Come this Friday from 9 p.m. Come win prizes and be part of the Magician All Mask party. Showdown Mascamp this Friday at the Harlem Plaza from 9 p.m. Come celebrate with the Bob, Leona, Benno, Sai, Checo, King Dice, and the rest of the crew. Showdown Mascamp Flight 767, the Magician All Mask Party this Friday, 17th February at the Harlem Plaza from 9 p.m.
Dominica, I told you I had difficulty calling out, but finally I was not able to get in touch with journalist Dennis Chabral. I'll keep trying before we wrap up, but luckily for me, I was able to touch base with the opposition leader, Lennox Linton, who many, after rumors circulated this morning, seem a little worried and calling my cell phone trying to clarify what is going on. Yes, I have been able to touch base with the opposition leader, Lennox Linton, in Guyana at this stage. Mr. Linton, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Matt Peltier. Good afternoon to the people of Dominica, the people of Concord and Marigot, our brothers and sisters at home and abroad.
Your many supporters seem a little worried about you after some rumors circulated about you trying to impersonate somebody on the delegation and the Prime Minister's team. Mr. Linton, I found it laughable, but please clarify what is going on. Is there anything to be worried about you and your delegation up in Guyana?
Matt, we traveled out of Dominica yesterday morning. As you know, there were concerns that we were going to be arrested when we got to the airport. That didn't happen. We got out of Dominica into Barbados. We were in transit there, waiting for the flight to get into Guyana. It was an hour late. We got into Guyana at about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The plane arrived in Guyana, and the air hostess of Liat announced that the passengers on the plane should stay put for a little bit and allow the dignitaries that had come for the CARICOM Heads of Government conference to deplane first, because the Prime Minister of Barbados and the Prime Minister of Antigua were on the flight and they had some red carpet welcome for them. So they wanted them to deplane first, and the people who would come for the CARICOM meeting, the dignitaries and so on, to deplane along with them for that ceremony, the tarmac and so on. A senior CARICOM official looked at me sitting down in the plane and said to me, "You are the opposition leader in the Parliament of Dominica, let's go down on the ground." So I went with him. And we stood there looking at the military of Guyana do their do and the official welcome and the walk past and stuff for the two prime ministers would come. And then the protocol people asked me for my passport, and other people on the ground as well. They did the same thing with them. They then ushered me. The other members of my team had gone the other way, because I was essentially with this senior CARICOM diplomat that asked me or invited me to come down and walk with him and let's go as opposition leader. He recognized me as the opposition leader in the Parliament of Dominica, not part of any government delegation. At no time at all have I ever indicated to anybody that I was on the government's delegation. What interest would I have, Matt, in being on the government's delegation? We have not come here to participate in the meetings of CARICOM as CARICOM has organized this meeting. We are here to use the opportunity of the CARICOM heads of government meeting to talk to select prime ministers who are willing to talk to us, and we will be doing a few of those meetings today, and to talk to the media and to sensitize the people of CARICOM focused on Guyana at this time where the heads are meeting, what is going on in Dominica and what the implications are for CARICOM. And we're doing that. Tonight at 6 o'clock, we're having a press conference, and tomorrow morning we have an exclusive interview on one of the big television station over here. And we're continuing our series of meetings, which is what we came here for. So far, so good. Everything is fine.
So the mission is what exactly, Lennox Linton? The mission in Guyana?
The mission in Guyana is to let the people of CARICOM know, part of the process of letting the people of CARICOM know exactly what is happening in Dominica, separate and apart from the propaganda that Mr. Skerritt is spreading and the sympathy that he's seeking. I heard him this morning talking about thanking the leaders who called him to sympathize with him and so on what happened in Dominica, some rebellion that took place in Dominica with the opposition and so on. Well, the opposition is here in Guyana to speak truth to power and to say exactly what happened and why it happened, and to talk about the situation that Dominica finds itself in right now, with government not being able to have a citizenship by investment account at any of the international banks operating in Dominica. I noticed that he glossed over that in his comments up here, almost as though somebody is doing him bad, as opposed to him living up to the responsibilities of facilitating compliance with the anti-money laundering and the counteracting of the financing of terrorism provisions that the international banking community are committed to, and for which we stand exposed and under threat of being de-risked or being delinked from the international banking community because of the reckless behavior of this government. But rather than accept responsibility, they're going out and spreading blame. They're going out and trying to blame people. So right now it's the global banking industry that doesn't like them, that wants to shut them down because they've been described as harmful tax havens and people who are involved in bringing questionable money through denigrating their citizenship by investment program. Nobody is denigrating the citizenship by investment program more than Mr. Skerritt and his cronies, who are violating their own procedures for granting citizenship.
Are you talking about this comment, Lennox Linton, more specifically? I was able to get a piece of that, so let me allow you to listen.
Supported by populist movements, threatens the multilateral system as never before and does not portend well for small states. Further, the concentrated attacks on our economies, whether through the withdrawal of correspondent banking services, listing our countries as non-cooperative tax jurisdictions, or denigrating our citizenship by investment programs, confirm that we are operating in an increasingly hostile international environment.
Was it that comment that you're making reference to?
Denigrating our citizenship by investment programs. What the concern out there is that the citizenship by investment programs as operated in the Caribbean, Dominica being an example, represent a hole, a gaping hole. Peter Vincent referred to it as in the global security architecture against money laundering and the financing of terrorism. And he has to deal with that. He cannot believe that he can play victim, come with this crybaby attitude, not do what is required to be done, continue to corrupt the citizenship by investment scheme, continue to be involved in questionable due diligence and questionable vetting of people who are getting citizenship, and continue to in a way and in real ways corrupt the process, breach the same process he says that they're following to give citizenship by allowing people to end up with passports and certificates of naturalization and passports without anybody seeing evidence that money has gone into the treasury, without the due diligence being done. Why is it that the government is now doing due diligence on people who have already received their passport? They stand exposed to the world as a lying institution, a dishonest institution that says they're doing one thing but doing completely the opposite. So the concerns that the banking industry has with the quality of money coming in to pay for passports is a legitimate concern, and it is not going to go away because Mr. Skerrit shows up like a crybaby. And we're in Guyana to do the work of the people of Dominica. We had to find private money to do it. Mr. Skerrit and his delegation are here enjoying the public money from the public purse. But we are here doing important public business, not just for Dominica, but for the entire CARICOM grouping, ensuring...
Can you say this have implications for the CARICOM region?
Absolutely. The Dominica passport is a CARICOM passport issued by Dominica, you know. The Dominica diplomatic passport is a CARICOM diplomatic passport issued by Dominica. So either Dominica wants to be in the integration grouping and to be binded by the principles that enshrined in the Treaty of Chaguaramas and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, or it wants to get out. But you cannot be a member in a grouping and all the concerns that that grouping has and all the commitments that that grouping has as to how it's going to operate and how it's going to avoid harmful taxation, harmful offshore tax haven categorization, and how it is going to avoid, how it's going to wade through the issues of de-risking and so on. And then you are doing things that are running contrary to what the grouping, the other members of the grouping want to do, and you believe that's okay because you're some little crybaby that will blame everybody but yourself for what you're directly responsible for and for what you're using to enrich yourself. No, it's not going to work any longer. The people are fed up of that, and the people of CARICOM, not just the people of Dominica, the people of CARICOM will become fed up of that, which is the reason we're here to speak truth to power, where lies have been persistently told, not just to the people of Dominica, but to the people of the region in general.
Lennox Linton in Guyana, thank you very much for connecting with us this afternoon. I'll try again tomorrow at some time in the day. Thank you very much. That was the opposition leader speaking to, of course, Talk on the Block. We have 3 more minutes. I will keep searching for the truth. Very interesting interview there with the opposition leader in Guyana on a mission to tell the rest of the world, tell CARICOM and the rest of the world just what is going on in Dominica. Talk to me. Let's take a phone call. We'll wrap it up in a minute. Hello.
Good afternoon, Matt. How are you?
How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right, thank you. Matt, in my opinion, Roosevelt Skerrit submitted his resignation to the people of Dominica some time ago. That statement he made, telling that the only option he had as the head of government, Minister of Finance, to keep the country running is to have sold our passport. There was no other means to tax us, When the Prime Minister of our nation comes to you and tells you that agriculture is working, tourism is working, none of the sectors of the economy are working, all you can do is sell your heritage, your patrimony, sell your birthright. Isn't he, in effect, submitting his resignation, say that he cannot do the job anymore, Matt?
That's your interpretation of it, right? 158. It's a fair comment. Hello, talk to me.
Mr. Peltier.
Yes, sir.
You listen to the man in Guyana admitting having to do with the linking, Matt. You listen to them and this financial institution. You listen to the Jamaican journalists talking about what about civil society, Matt?
Yep.
What about the financial people? What about all of them? Fred DeFried. But a little thing, Desiroso, all of them start talking. I will not say backing. All of us, look at what Roosevelt Skerrit is threatening on Dominica. All of them, they're quiet, hoping it will go away. But I will suffer, but I want them to suffer the consequences.
You heard the rumor this morning, Blessings, because we have to go.
Matt, I called you when I listened to Tony and Simeon. I know, Matt, I could bet $1 million that was a lie. I know that was a concoction. That is why I called you up here and tell you, but follow that rumor there. Have a blessed day, bro.
Have a blessed day. We're taking one final phone call. We'll be back tomorrow on the hot set. We're in search of the truth here. Hello, talk to me.
Hello, good afternoon, Matt.
My brother, how you doing?
Well, Mark, I'm doing good, you know. I just getting back my voice because I was in the protest in town.
Okay.
To defend democracy. But Mark, as you can see, the visionary leader is in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Roosevelt Skerrit will call for Tony as fans because every question they ask him is Tony the answer in. But the region and the world need to know the filth that is going on. I remember growing up at my home and my mother will say, may her soul rest in peace. Donkey are calling in horse race. Roosevelt Skerrit has put himself in a horse race with Iran and communist China. That cannot work in this banana republic. He put up his hand right up and say, if not passport, something else. The visionary leaders will show him what. We have the capacity, the intellectual capacity to transform Dominica. And the vision that the inner circle of our party took to go to Guyana to bring our case tells you the kind of vision Lennox Linton has in moving this country forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll try to connect with Guyana again tomorrow morning. A news conference, from what I've been told, is being planned by the opposition leader with reporters, regional reporters this afternoon. I'll try to get a feel of what went on there and try to bring that for you in the morning, or to you in the morning. As you heard, a big interview is scheduled sometime tomorrow morning with one of the main broadcasting stations there. So the opposition, it appears, is getting the message across to CARICOM. We'll talk again in the morning. Matt Peltier saying so long, everybody. So long.